Hello and welcome back to Kentucky Home Garage. Today I have a 2003 Chevy Suburban with a 5.3 engine. Customer complaint is a random misfire, shutting off. He would have to pull on the side of the road, wait for a couple of minutes, restart the car, drive it again, and sometimes truck would kind of fail on its face, just losing power. Typical indication of the bad fuel delivery system or something like that. So far, this is the 4 or 5 months ago I've changed the spark plugs and wires and the intake manifold gasket due to P0171 lean code. That's been taken care of, but this is something different. So what I did, I checked my fuel pressure and it's in spec, it's around 50 psi. My fuel pressure regulator responds okay. I pull my vacuum line, my pressure goes up. Once I shut the engine off, it holds the pressure is not dropping down, so it's a little tough. You know, when I drove it for good 45 minutes, didn't really see any indication of any kind of misfire. Responds pretty good on the road. So also I checked my battery, I checked my alternator, all that checked out okay. So so I'm going to show you my current ramp on my fuel pump real quick. I like to do that every time I have some kind of problems with this nature, just to make sure that my fuel pump is in good health. So get the start it up real quick. Go. It starts right up. I don't see much. So now I have 800 millivolts. My scale is 100 millivolt is 1 amp. So I'm pulling 8 amps of current, and my pattern on my fuel pump looks pretty decent. I can let's go to 1 second, and it looks okay. What I like to do, I like to put it on a grid, so if my commutators are bad, when I line it up with a grid, you know, one of the commutators will go out of this spec. So this seemed to be okay. And I didn't check the speed on the fuel pump. I don't think it's needed. I don't think it will give me something really that I could go with. So so next thing I did, I took the truck for a test drive, and I captured some data. So I'll show you guys what I found. Okay, so this is the capture that I did earlier today. Let me see, this stupid glare again, I'm sorry guys. Okay, that's good. So basically what I like to see, I would look at the RPM, also the throttle position, TPS, my oxygen sensor, and my mass airflow sensor and a calculated load. So we can see here that I have my throttle position sensor at 99% wide open throttle. I was up on hill incline, so I shift the truck in a second gear, and my calculated load is only 66%. So seems like that mass airflow sensor is not the truck cannot calculate the load correctly. The 66% of calculated load, and they have 99% of the throttle opening. Now we can see as well that my oxygen sensor is dropping lean right at the peak of the load here as well. So both of my oxygen sensors are lean, which indicates fuel delivery issue or the dirty mass airflow sensor. So I'm gonna clean up the since I don't think that my fuel pressure is a problem, because again, the fuel pressure was fine. The other thing I did, I revved the engine up to like 2000 RPM, and I opened up my relief valve on my fuel pressure gauge to get some fuel out of it, to see if that's the way I check my volume, and my pressure stayed in a spec. So I mean, I got no other way to check on the volume, but it seemed like it was okay. So all this indicates to me that one of the problems that could be dirty mass airflow sensor. And now I'm gonna clean up the mass airflow sensor. I'm gonna take the truck for a test drive again, and to see what happens. I generally don't like to get the camera and drive the car. I'm afraid I can, you know, cause some accident or something. So I will capture everything, and I'll let you guys look at it. However, as I was doing my diagnostic and I was doing my visual inspection, and something that I always miss is my coolant level, and that's really important, you know, especially if you have something goofy going on. You can't really figure out what's happening. And my coolant level, well, it's pretty low. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's actually right down. It's pretty low, and that could be red flag that this could be a blown head gasket. And I'm afraid that could be a reason why, you know, that could be my problem. So I have a gas analyzer. I know many of you guys do not have gas analyzer, but if you do, use this tool. This is very useful tool. You can in no time check your cooling system for any leaks if you have a blown head gasket. Or if you don't have a gas analyzer, you can use that. You can rent at AutoZone that fluid, the pump. You can to check your carbon monoxide level. So my point is, you know, when you do all these tests and checks, and then you can't find anything, always check your coolant level. That can be your clue that something's going on. Why the engine is losing coolant? Why the system losing coolant if you cannot really see any leaks, obvious leaks. So now this gas analyzer, it is gonna check the HC, the hydrocarbon, basically unburned gases. So any unburned gas that will enter the cooling system, it's indication that there is a blown head gasket. So I'm going to put the HC on the graph mode, and this is just what's left in my lines. It's already reading 70, but I may have to wait a little bit for this line to clear, and then we'll do the test. Okay, well, I'm down to 25 parts per million, so that's good enough. I'm gonna put my probe in my coolant, my expansion bottle, and I'm gonna start the truck and see what kind of readings we're gonna have. And that's the shot of my probe. It's right on the. I put a little rag around so that. So I'm gonna start the truck and see what we got. I have my truck around 1000 RPM. I should get more, but you can see my HC level is climbing already. So I'm at 52 parts per million. You really don't want to have any unburned gases in your cooling system. So we're gonna wait a couple more minutes. Going 65. Yeah. I don't think this may not be a big leak, but I'll advise the customer maybe to try that coolant, head gasket stop leak, and see if that temporarily fixes the problem. But you can see it's slowly climbing up. I don't feel any misfire. I don't feel starts right up. It didn't act up on me at all. So I'm not sure if this is what my problem is, but definitely it is a problem. So now you can see it's 75, and if it goes over 100, then that's definitely an issue. So it's 90. There you go. Now it's climbing over 100. So this is the definitely a problem with the head gasket or cylinder head. It has a leak somewhere. But it's interesting that I do not have any overheating issues. I mean, it's just some kind of weird misfire. Now it's climbing. This is definitely an issue now. Now we're over 200, and I'm going to stop at this point. This is definitely a problem, so we'll go from there. It's still going up. So again, my point here is, you know, when you do this kind of tests, you know, always, you know, just look your with your visual inspection, you know, check your coolant level, and that can kind of give you a clue, you know, to point you to the right direction. It's like it's almost going to 250 right now. It will probably go over 300 or even more, but now I shut it off. So now I'm going to clean up the mass airflow sensor and probably clean up the throttle body as well, and repeat my test and see if my oxygen sensor goes rich as I sort of rule out my fuel delivery. I don't see that to be a problem. My fuel pressure was okay, and but this is something that he will have to do. Owner will have to deal with. I'm not sure what he's gonna decide to do. So, well, there you go. The test is out. So, but anyway, guys. So this is the. I'm gonna check my. I'm gonna clean up my mass airflow sensor and do my road test, and I'll be back. Okay, guys, I'm back. This is the capture before. As we know, we had both of the oxygen sensors were lean. The calculated load was 66% with throttle open 99%, and RPM was 44,500, and grams per second airflow was 158. I did make some improvements, but not as much as I would like to see. Now in this capture we can see that like I didn't want to push the car too much because of the blown head gasket. I'm afraid I can really mess it up, engine big time. So we can see that the throttle was open at 84% at this time. My calculated load was 70%, so that is improvement there. My airflow was 164, before was 158, so I improved some my airflow as well, and the RPM at this one was 4700. Now the oxygen sensor, they respond a little bit better. This first time my oxygen sensors were lean all the way. Now I can see there's some spikes with the reach as well on both, like here and here, especially on this bank 1 sensor 1. So there's improvement for sure, but not as much as I would like to see. Hello guys, this is day 2 with this Suburban I've been working on, and I was able to find a mass airflow sensor, used one from another truck. So and let me show you, I want to show you the results from it. So this is the very first capture that I did when we had a original mass airflow sensor. We knew that our at the wide open throttle our oxygen sensor went lean. My throttle position was 99%, but the calculated load was only 66%, and the engine speed was 4,500. Airflow was 58. So after I cleaned up the mass airflow sensor, our results were a little bit better, and it's this capture here. We've seen this yesterday, and we could see that my throttle position was at 84%, engine speed was 46, a little bit better, airflow was 164, a little bit better, and the oxygen sensors were spiking up somewhat, you know, lean and rich, but a little bit better than what it was with a dirty mass airflow sensor, and the calculated load went to up to 70%. Now this is the capture that I did with a mass airflow sensor that I borrowed from another truck, and a huge difference. Engine throttle 97% opening, engine speed went up to 5,000. Now you can see my voltage on my O2 sensors, bank 1 and bank 2, went rich in both. This is what I want to see. When a wide open throttle, both of the oxygen sensors were rich, and our calculated load went up to 81%. I forgot to put my mass airflow sensor grams per second, but nevertheless we can see that a mass airflow sensor is definitely a problem on this truck, and cleaning up this sensor, didn't do much. So I mean, it did some improvement, but not as this is what I would like to see. And so this is definitely probably the mass airflow sensor. Also, what I did, I checked my power and ground at the sensor. I checked I put my original sensor on a level scope. I didn't see any glitches on it, so that was okay. I also checked my relay, my fuel pump relay. I checked the relay this morning to make sure I have a relay looked okay. I don't have any voltage drop. The command is good. The load side of the relay is good. The control side of the relay is good. Also, yesterday when I was working, I forgot to mention that I looked my fuel trim, and even with the dirty mass airflow sensor, really didn't look that bad. I had some negative at the idle, and at the wide open throttle it went positive, but nothing really that could kind of put me to that direction. But definitely oxygen sensor is something you want to look when you do this kind of test. If they go down lean, then you have a fuel starvation basically, or faulty mass airflow sensor. The computer doesn't see correct amount of air and it cannot open the injectors enough to spray enough fuel. And so that was it. So I checked my fuel pressure was okay, and so now we still have that problem with the head gasket or cylinder. We'll I don't know what owner wants to do with that, but the mass airflow sensor was definitely one of the problems. So, all right, guys, this is it. I'm really happy that I was able to borrow another mass airflow sensor to redo the test, so you guys can see the huge difference now in the response of the engine and the calculated load, and our oxygen sensor when rich. Even though the computer is not at the wide open throttle, it's not looking at the sensor for the fuel trim, but that's your direction. You want to see that going rich, so you know that it has a good airflow and a good fuel delivery. So, okay, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, and see you next time. All right.